As you probably know, we spend a lot of time and money looking into Russian storage bases and keeping track of their rates of decline. We put out several updates on tank numbers, artillery, BMPs, but there's one important vehicle that we haven't done yet, the MT-LB. It's not as well known and doesn't get as much attention as tanks and other armored fighting vehicles, but it's just as, and in some ways more important for Russia's military. And its numbers in storage are dropping fast, and if that rate holds, Russia will run out of them much quicker than tanks or artillery. But first, real quick, our sponsor, Field of Greens. In my line of work, I spend a lot of time behind a computer at home. It can be difficult to have a healthy mindset when it's just so easy to order delivery these days and not get much physical exercise. That's why it's so important to have an ally when it comes to getting essential nutrients that our bodies need. And for that, I've turned to Field of Greens. Field of Greens is a superfood powder that provides a range of nutrients from 100% real USDA organic fruits and vegetables. And they go way beyond the competition, adding things like ginger, which is actually pretty expensive. It helps support healthy digestion, reduces fatigue and inflammation, and boosts your body's immune system. Not only have I experienced an improvement in my health, but my doctor also noticed it too. And here, actually, my favorite is the wild berry, and I've actually found mixing it with apple juice is really, really good. It's guaranteed that if your doctor doesn't notice an improvement in your health, they will send you your money back. And thankfully, you can get started with 15% off and free shipping. Visit fieldofgreens.com and use promo code COVERT. That's promo code COVERT at fieldofgreens.com. As I mentioned, the MT-LB isn't as well known, but it's extremely important. It was designed initially as an artillery tractor. These tow artillery pieces around the battlefield. To be able to do that, artillery tractors are built with powerful engines, large payload and crew capacity, high traction to maneuver in all types of terrain, and some degree of armor protection. And all these features make them great for other roles as well, such as bringing supplies and troops into combat, evacuating wounded, and being easily modified and equipped with other gear to be used as things like bulldozers, anti-aircraft platforms, basically anything you could think of. And Russia has used them in all these ways and more in Ukraine. They've been a crucial vehicle for Russia to keep up its war effort. So for that reason, it's worth taking a look to see how many they have left. And a big thanks to Jompy for the help on this video. His dedication and passion and attention to detail to make sure that every last number at every one of these last bases is correct is just incredible. There's no way alone I could have ever been as thorough. So as you can see, we have a massive number of bases these vehicles are at. Way more than tanks. Due to the high number, it's obviously impractical for us to be able to buy or get the latest satellite imagery for each one. We did prioritize though. All of the large bases we got imagery of. The red colored ones here indicate the imagery is older, but those bases have no more than 11 vehicles at most. The largest ones with 50 or more all have imagery from within the past 2 months. So we're confident that the age of the imagery wasn't an issue, and it leaves very little room for error in the total numbers. And again, since there are so many, I'm just going to highlight a few of the larger and more interesting bases. The one with the biggest drop is the 4990th. It went from a pre-war number of 658 to just 88 now, so 570 have been removed. Here you can see just entire fields of MT-LBs gone. Pre-war, this was by far the largest storage base of MT-LBs. Another with a huge drop is the 7021st. Unfortunately, as you can see, the imagery isn't the highest resolution, but it's still easy to spot the huge drop from 493 to just 134. And even some of those could be trucks. While obviously an MT-LB looks nothing like a truck normally, from above, its shape and the shadow it can create at the right angle could give the illusion that it is a truck, especially in lower resolution imagery like this one. And then finally, my favorite since it's included in the tank counting videos, and also because I wanted to show the image because I paid a lot of money for it, the 6018th. I was able to get this image that was just 2 days old at the time, taken on the 14th of July. This base has just shrunk in a massive way, with every type of vehicle. In fact, we've recently not even bothered getting imagery of it anymore for the counting of the tanks because its numbers are just so low. And in terms of the MT-LB, it's lost over 90%, down to just 27, and over half of those are likely beyond repair. And here it is, the final total numbers for all the work and research. Again, massive credit to Jompy here. From a pre-war stock of almost 3,000 in storage to just 488 today. That's just 16% remaining. So 84% or nearly 2,500 MT-LBs are now gone from storage. If that rate continues, in 7 months, they'll be gone. So that's pretty soon. However, as usual, there's a lot of caveats to that. First, you might notice Oryx only has listed roughly 1,200 MT-LBs being lost by Russia. One unique explanation as to why their count might be lower than the actual numbers is that the MT-LB is actually a much lighter armed vehicle than, say, a tank. Tanks can have armor in spots several hundred millimeters thick, a BMP-2 in areas up to 33 millimeters. Compare that with the MT-LB that has a maximum of just 14 millimeters of armor. This obviously makes them much more vulnerable to things like ATGMs. In fact, in one of the images on Oryx's website, they were only able to identify an MT-LBU by the remains of its hatch. Also, each MT-LB pulled from storage doesn't necessarily mean it's done to replace one that was lost in combat. Russia would have pulled a lot initially as the war began, and also more when they had mobilized, which greatly increased the size of their military. So the rate of decline has not been steady. From mid-2021 to mid-2023, the rate of decline in storage was roughly 1,000 a year. Then from mid-2023 to mid-2024, the rate was roughly half that, 500. However, it's also likely that part of the reason why the rate is declining is the majority remaining in storage are broken or beyond repair. But even if that 7-month figure held, it doesn't mean that Russia would suddenly have zero MT-LBs. They currently have a few thousand in active service in Ukraine, and many more undergoing repairs at other facilities to eventually be sent to Ukraine. Also, there's another similar vehicle that they've barely touched in storage, the MT-LBU. The MT-LBU is actually a completely different vehicle. They have a different design, chassis, and role, despite being similarly named and having a similar appearance. The MT-LB was designed more as an armored artillery tractor, and the MT-LBU as a command post, and each are typically found stored at different types of storage bases for that reason. There were some 1,300 in storage pre-war, and today roughly 925. While they are different, they could begin to be used once the supply of MT-LBs run out. They both can carry 11 passengers into combat and a payload capacity of 2 tons. However, they typically have even less armor protection than the MT-LB. So, the MT-LB might be in its final days. There are still likely many in active service, but the number in storage are quickly approaching zero. Also, the fact that no new MT-LBs are being produced anymore means that, unless the war suddenly ends today, soon we will likely see the end of an era of the MT-LB, a vehicle that's been extremely versatile and been in service for more than half a century.